Good evening, and thanks for watching CTV Sports. Today, March 2nd. Patrick, it's March. Where's the madness?
In due time, Travis. In due time.
Hey, I got to ask you, blue and black or white and gold?
I'm going blue and black, but, you know, people seem to be beg to differ, but we'll have to ask everybody out there on Twitter.
Sure will.
But we've still got a couple games left in the season, Trav, before you get off on your rants about your clothes. So how do you see this Mountain West wrapping up for the rest of the season?
It's been a crazy year, as we can see here, the standings. Boise State at the top, jumping over San Diego State. Not many people expected that one. CSU sitting at third now with their next game against Nevada and then Utah State. It's going to shake out, and it's going to be interesting how this season ends.
Yeah, no one expected Boise to go into San Diego and get that win, and that has really shaken things up. And Colorado State, Utah State, that is a big game for the Rams, as whoever wins that game will get the 3 seed.
Absolutely, and this Utah State team has played great at home, so this is a scary game for this Rams team. I think you can pencil them in for the win against Nevada. That team has played very poorly this year, but that Utah State team has played great at home. I don't know what it is. They struggle on the road, but at home, Jalen Moore and their crew, you really get things going, so those Rams are really going to have their A game that day.
Yeah, it's a really scary place to play as they beat Wyoming and SDSU at home, so hopefully the Rams are bringing their A game, and Avila should be back for that game, so I expect them to go in there and take care of business.
I'm with you on that one.
The Mountain West isn't as strong as in years past, but there certainly is depth when you talk about UNLV and New Mexico being the 7 and 8 seeds, respectively. It really shows how up for grabs this conference is, and if we take a look at this graphic, we will see what the bracket would look like today.
And as you can see here, CSU right now in the 3 spot would be up against Fresno State, and I love that, Patrick. I love that because New Mexico and UNLV, those matchups, they're New Mexico playing Air Force and then UNLV playing Nevada in the playing game. No San Jose State because they have been banned from this tournament here. I think those teams would be very scary to play because of the way their fans travel and pack the Thomas Mack. They are great when that tournament comes time.
And I'm honing in on that CSU 3 seed. Like I said before, they are playing for that 3 seed when they face Utah State. If they were to get the 4 seed, it looks like they'll be playing Wyoming, who has swept them this season. So that 4 seed could be actually detrimental to the Rams' postseason aspirations.
It could be. We saw Wyoming. The Rams could not handle that team. Larry Nance is now back. He was gone with mono. That would be a scary matchup for sure. And that Fresno State team, the Rams did well against them this year. I think if they can hold on to that 3 spot, that would be huge for them to make a run in this tournament.
Yeah, and Joe Lunardi had CSU as one of the last 4 in. And speaking of last 4 in, how many teams do you think this Mountain West will get into March?
Well, I think it depends on how the Rams finish off the season. I think they will get 3. San Diego State and Boise State, I think, will wind up getting in no matter how they finish off the season. But you never know. Those teams, the bubble teams, they bounce around. CSU's 26th in the nation in RPI, San Diego State's 25th, and they're still not showing any love for the Mountain West.
Yeah, and Boise State snuck into that top 30 RPI as well. But now that the season is wrapping up, let's discuss our candidates for Mountain West Player of the Year. And as we can see in this graphic right here, we got Derek Marks. He has been tearing it up these last few games. He has really been the reason for Boise State's success. 20 points per game, leading the Mountain West. He's scored 30 points 2 times just in February alone, and he's shooting lights out, isn't he, Trav?
Great player, Derek Marks. So you can see the stats here, incredible. But then we've got Avila as a possibility. You know, he does great things. Ram fans know that. He does just about everything. Larry Nance, a key to this Wyoming team's success this season and past seasons up there. And Christian Wood, how about him? The UNLV Rebels haven't won very many games, over 15 points per game, almost 10 rebounds a game, and he's second in the Mountain West in blocks per game at 2.8. One of these guys could definitely sneak up there and steal it if they have a great performance in the Mountain West tournament.
Yeah, and it was a bummer to see Rashad Vaughn get hurt because I think he would have been up there if he was able to finish out the season. The guy had an incredible year, only a freshman. Him and Christian Wood together were great, and yeah, so it was a bummer not to see him on there.
And no San Diego State guys up there, like Winston Shepard, like you said. The reason we don't have them listed up there is nobody on that team really scores a lot of points. Winston Shepard is their top scorer, over 11 points per game, just barely. So there's no guy on that team you can look at and say he is their go-to player. That's the reasoning. I mean, I think if San Diego State winds up winning this tournament or winning the regular season championship, you still would have to go with Derek Marks because of the track record he's had this year.
Well, and just in from our statistics department, a.k.a. Keegan Pope and Keith Albertson, 11 of the last regular season champions, a Player of the Year was awarded to a member of that team. And that's what we were saying. If San Diego State wins the regular season, will one one of their players win Mountain West Player of the Year.
It would be hard to back that up with the stats these other guys have had out there.
Shout out to the statistics
The
department.
crew. We're going to take a quick break now.
But when we come back, we'll break down the women's standings in the conference.
Don't be going away now.
The Ramskeller offers a traditional pub menu, 20 beers on tap, and even fresh-to-order pizza coming soon. Stop by Sweet Sensations for a delicious bakery item, espresso, or any other coffee needs you may have.
Hi, welcome to Aspen Grill.
Aspen Grill is a student-operated restaurant located in the University Club. The food court features a number of different restaurants to satisfy your needs between classes.
Welcome back to CTV Sports. If you're just joining us, you missed our breakdown of the Mountain West men's basketball postseason aspirations, but you're just in time for our women's synopsis. Let's take a look at their standings. Patty Cakes, CSU at the top right now with a cupcake schedule remaining against Nevada and Utah State. Both of those teams have 8 wins apiece this season.
Yeah, you don't even see them on that graphic right there, but that doesn't mean they are quality teams. When CSU women's went to Nevada, they only squeaked out of Reno with a 1-point victory, 59-58. So this Nevada team is tough, but luckily the Rams finished the season at home.
And last year, the disappointment from the tournament, as we've talked about multiple times, that Fresno State team bounced them. I don't think the Rams have to worry about Fresno State bouncing them from winning the regular season because New Mexico just got a big win against Fresno. I think leaving the regular season down to New Mexico or Colorado State, this is going to be a fun closing out of the season to see who takes that #1 spot.
Yeah, and if you look at the Mountain West women's RPI, none of them are that great where they can get an at-large bid, so they're definitely going to need to win in Vegas, but that is very tough to do. But I think players like Hannah Mesta, if she can step up, she's got 54 three-pointers this season, so she's really shooting lights out, and if she can go down to Vegas and really be a key role player for them and ride the coattails of players like Ellen Nystrom and players like that, I think they'll find themselves in March Madness.
It's going to be fun to see that one shake out. But one of the keys for the Rams' success in both men's and women's basketball has been their seniors. Sports reporter Rachel Vigil has a story of how 2 such players have become friends despite their different beginnings.
How did 2 of CSU's very own basketball players go from being friends in the classroom to being friends on the court at Moby?
Because when people see you around with somebody else, but definitely when it's a female, they automatically think, you know, oh, they like each other, they dating.
Yeah.
Well, you know, of course we got that a million times, but no, we're actually close friends, you know, and ever since then, you know, we just been building on relationships.
AJ Newton and Stanton Kidd have been each other's support systems after both of their knee surgeries by helping on the court and cheering each other on the sidelines.
When I wasn't playing, I would come and see her play. I didn't miss a game. I probably missed one. In the training room, she would come and talk to me and, you know, tell me that everything's going to be all right. You know, you just got to get through it. Start running again, and once you do, you'll be fine.
And they aren't afraid to critique each other.
We can joke about it, and, you know, he'll tell me, like, well, shot was a little off, but, like, I know it's out of love. And he knows when I'm like, you only want to play second half, it's all out of love, too, so.
Although the 2 are only 2 weeks apart, Stan has taken on the role of the older brother.
We'll go out to eat, and then I'll take him home. I live, like, literally around the corner. He'll be like, hey, are you home safe? And I'm like, yes, Stanton. And then when it's snowing, he's like, hey, make sure you drive slow. Like, he's always checking up on me, making sure that I'm safe. So he's he takes that role.
Like, AJ would be like, oh, I want you to meet somebody, and I just be like, who this?
That's probably the hardest part.
Who is that? Who is he? Oh, just okay. That just shows you how, you know, good relationship we had, because I wouldn't do that for nobody else. I don't care. Maybe a teammate, you know, of course my teammates, they're my brothers, but as far as female, I wouldn't do that, you know. So that's like brother-sister type stuff.
Even with AJ at grad school in Texas and Stanton playing professionally or overseas, neither are worried about staying connected.
He can end up anywhere, so I think I'm just kind of like, I just want to go visit. So, I mean, I know nothing's going to change.
With CTV, I'm Rachel Vigil.
Thank you, Rachel, for that report. The 2015 CSU football schedule was released today. We'll break that down for you coming up after a quick break.
It's cold outside today, Rams. What better way to warm up than to gather in the LSC? The new and improved Senate chambers located in the renovated ASCSU office was modeled to match the state legislature in Denver. Reserve the Longs Peak meeting room in room 302. There are approximately 23 other new meeting rooms designed for your needs. Reserve one of these rooms through the event planning office.
2015 CSU football schedule was released today, and there aren't any surprises. They open up the season with the annual Ag Day Orange Out at home against Savannah State. New head coach Mike Bobo must have worked pretty hard to bring in such a prestigious Georgia school. The most notable game in the non-conference schedule is the Week 2 matchup against Minnesota. That will be an early test for the Rams. Trav, we just saw the schedule there on the graphic. What are some big games on that schedule for you?
Well, Minnesota you got to look at, and then Boise State's always going to be a big one. The one on the road is Utah State for me. Chucky Keaton returning, big-time pickup for Utah State, getting him back after getting a medical redshirt. That's the one that really stuck out to me.
Yeah, Utah State will definitely be in the mix. All three of their quarterbacks got experience and snaps last year, so they're all going to be fighting for that starting position. But I'm going to have to go with Minnesota. Minnesota was TCU's resume builder last year, and I think that's what it could be for CSU this year as they look to turn the corner and win the Mountain West, because they do play Boise State at home, as Boise State will not have a returning running back or QB who were the cornerstones to their squad. So I really think it is looking good for CSU with lots of returners and tough games at home. But as you said, Utah State on the road, that will be a tough one.
It definitely will. And I'm a little disappointed seeing this schedule for the fact that not many big names were added on this schedule. The cupcake beginning game, as we joked about. And I thought the year after such a great season here in Colorado State, I thought they would maybe add at least one more big name team, whether it be on the road or here in Fort Collins. That didn't wind up being the case. But I think we can definitely guarantee there will be offensive fire for this team. Mike Bobo, coming from Georgia, offensive coordinator, he knows his offense, and this team has returning receivers that are very special, just like Rashard Hollywood Higgins.
Well, and hopefully he will have them ready by week 3, because that is when they play the CU Buffs. It was interesting to me, past 2 years, they've opened up at Sports Authority Field in Denver with that game, and with all the hoopla surrounding that they might cancel the game, or CU wants to play it in Boulder 2 times and 1 time in Fort Collins. I thought it was interesting, 3rd game of the season, but I don't really know how they make schedules or that works. Maybe that had nothing to do with contract negotiations.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But one thing that does stick out about this schedule is a lot of home games. The big games are mainly here in Fort Collins for this team. Just Wyoming and Utah State on the road. That'll play out nicely for this team, I believe, this year.
Yeah, and I think they will be in the mix for the Mountain West title. But it is nice to see that the Rams get to close out late November games in Albuquerque and Fresno, though. They probably won't have to worry about snow in late November. But the snow from last week is still working against CSU lacrosse, which had to move its game from the IM Fields to Loveland because of the snow. Boston College got out to the early lead, but later in the first, CSU scored 3 goals over a minute 30 to go up 3-1. Ashton Monheiser and Chase Warner both scored in the 4th as the Rams walked away with an 8-4 victory. Sophomore goaltender Daniel Salami had 20 saves. Colorado State now goes on the road to Phoenix for the 2nd annual Coaches Against Cancer.
Over the weekend, the Colorado State men's and women's track and field teams were in New Mexico for the Mountain West Indoor Track and Field Championships. The men and women both took 2nd place respectively, while many Rams were named to the all-conference team. The men's heptathletes Justin Green, Josh Cogdale, and Hunter Price all finished in the top 3 positions. And for the 2nd consecutive season, Kaya Hicks took 1st place in the women's weight throw. It was a great season for the Rams, and some athletes were recognized today for making all-conference, and here are the men who earned all-conference honors. As we can see here, many good names listing here: Jefferson Abbey, Josh Cogdale, Josh DeLoach, Jonathan Edmonds, Justin Green, Hunter Price, Jake Schneeberger, and the distance medley relay. And that's not it. We got women, too. Let's see the women. Here, all the way, Lee Fair, Jessica Green, Kaya Hicks, Lorinda Holston, Ayala Pete, Jasmine Webster, and the distance medley relay. There are some all-conference players on this campus, Patty.
Yep, that was a mouthful.
Sure was. Well, that's all the time we have for you tonight.
But next, we'll be back next week with a preview of the Mountain West basketball tournament with all the brackets, facts, and figures you can need.
Won't want to miss it. Have a wonderful night.